Maradona, Platini, Socrates, Laudrup, Lineker, Butragueño, Rummenigge, Hugo Sanchez. Some of the greatest footballers of their generation. One World Cup. Countless unforgettable moments. Many fans still consider Mexico 1986 the greatest World Cup of the 20th century. A tournament filled with drama, genius, and football immortality. These are the 5 stories that made Mexico 1986 unforgettable. The 13th World Cup in history was supposed to take place in Colombia, but they became the only hosts in World Cup history to withdraw from organizing the tournament. The country was plunged into an economic crisis, inflation was rampant, and the government realized it couldn't meet the ever-growing financial and infrastructural demands set by FIFA. Mexico stepped in to take over. It seemed like the worst had passed. Then came September 1985. A massive earthquake struck the nation's capital. Thousands of lives were lost, and a huge part of the city was reduced to rubble. The world began to ask one question: would the World Cup even happen? But the Mexican people refused to back down. They rebuilt what mattered most, finalized the preparations, and saw the project through to the end. A few months later, at the Estadio Azteca, a tournament began that would go down in history. Mexican fans created an unforgettable atmosphere, and the famous Mexican wave swept across the world. Mexico 1986 marked Denmark's first ever appearance at a World Cup. Before the tournament, very few people saw Denmark as a serious title contender. Just a few matches later, the entire football world was talking about them. The Danes played with incredible speed, fearlessly, without hesitation. They started by defeating Scotland. Then they demolished Uruguay 6-1. And to finish the group stage, they beat the reigning World Cup runners-up West Germany 2-0. The team's leader was a young Michael Laudrup. His creativity, technique, and vision captivated fans around the world. The media quickly gave the team a new nickname, Danish Dynamite. More and more experts began predicting that the tournament newcomers could go all the way, but World Cups can be ruthless. In the round of 16, Denmark faced Spain, and with Denmark leading 1-0, one disastrous defensive mistake changed everything. Spain seized control of the match and crushed the Danes 5-1. The fairy tale ended in an instant. The most exciting team of the tournament was heading home, but their fearless football would forever remain one of the defining symbols of Mexico 1986. The quarterfinal between France and Brazil is still regarded by many as one of the greatest matches in World Cup history. On one side stood Brazil, led by Zico, Socrates, and Careca. On the other were the reigning European champions, inspired by Michel Platini. Brazil struck first through Careca. France equalized before halftime. And then the real spectacle began. Brazil was awarded a penalty. Zico stepped up and missed. Extra time brought even more controversy. The French appealed for a penalty after a collision between their striker and the Brazilian goalkeeper. But the referee waved play on. After 120 minutes, the score remained level. Everything would be decided in a penalty shootout. The tension was unbearable. Platini missed from the spot. But France survived the battle of nerves and advanced. For millions of fans, this was football in its purest form, a match filled with skill, drama, and unforgettable moments. A masterpiece created by some of the greatest artists the game has ever seen. A World Cup quarterfinal between Argentina and England. But this was more than a football match. For many Argentinians, it was revenge for the Falklands War. The tension was enormous. For 45 minutes, neither side could break through. Then something unbelievable happened. Maradona celebrated as if nothing had happened. He had fooled the referee, beaten England, humiliated his opponent. Later, he would call it the hand of God. Peak. Before we move on to number 1, it's worth taking a look at a few other remarkable stories from Mexico 1986. Gary Lineker scored 6 goals and finished as the tournament's top scorer. Remarkably, he spent much of the World Cup playing with a protective cast on his arm after suffering an injury before the tournament. Emilio Butragueño, known as the Vulture, made history by scoring 4 goals against Denmark in the knockout stage. Manuel Negrete stunned the world with an incredible scissor kick against Bulgaria. To this day, many consider it the greatest goal from open play in World Cup history. The tournament also produced a record that still stands today. Uruguay's Jose Batista was sent off just 52 seconds into a match against Scotland, the fastest red card in World Cup history. Diego Armando Maradona didn't just win this World Cup, he dominated it. After the legendary quarterfinal against England, he led Argentina past Belgium in the semifinal, scoring both goals in a 2-0 victory. In the final at the Estadio Azteca, Argentina faced West Germany. They took a 2-goal lead. It looked like the match was over, but the Germans fought back. First, Karl-Heinz Rummenigge pulled one back. Then, just minutes later, Rudi Völler made it 2-2. Argentina were stunned. And that's when genius took over. In the 83rd minute, Maradona received the ball near midfield. With a single pass, he split the German defense wide open. 3-2. The Estadio Azteca erupted. A few minutes later, Argentina were world champions. Maradona collapsed onto the pitch, and then he lifted the most coveted trophy in football above his head. Mexico 1986 produced dozens of heroes and hundreds of unforgettable moments. But in the end, the world remembers it above all as Diego Maradona's World Cup. 5 goals, 5 assists, a World Cup trophy, and a performance that, for many, remains the greatest individual display of footballing genius in World Cup history.